Hello, I'm glad you're here. I'm NatsMan, and I'm reading the Bible from the beginning to the end, from Genesis to Revelations. Please join me in this journey and make God's Word part of your everyday life. This is video number 56, and today we're reading from the book of Numbers, starting in chapter 33. Numbers chapter 33. These are the journeys of the children of Israel when they went out of the land of Egypt by their armies under the hand of Moses and Aaron. Moses wrote the starting points of their journeys by the commandments of the Lord. These are their journeys according to their starting points. They traveled from Ramses in the first month, on the 15th day of the first month. On the next day after the Passover, the children of Israel went out with a high hand in the sight of all the Egyptians. While the Egyptians were burying all their firstborn, whom the Lord had struck against them, the Lord also executed judgment on their gods. The children of Israel traveled from Ramses and encamped in Succoth. They traveled from Succoth and encamped in Etham, which is in the edge of the wilderness. They traveled from Etham and turned back to Pihahiroth, which is before Baal-Zephon, and they encamped before Migdol. They traveled from the Hiroth and crossed through the middle of the sea into the wilderness. They went 3 days' journey in the wilderness of Etham and encamped at Marah. They traveled from Marah and came to Elim. In Elim there were 12 springs of water and 70 palm trees, and they encamped there. They traveled from Elim and encamped by the Red Sea. They traveled from the Red Sea and encamped in the wilderness of Sin. They traveled from the wilderness of Sin and encamped in Dophkah. They traveled from Dophkah and encamped in Alush. They traveled from Alush and encamped in Rephidim, where there was no water for the people to drink. They traveled from Rephidim and encamped in the wilderness of Sinai. They traveled from the wilderness of Sinai and encamped in Kibroth Hattava. They traveled from Kibroth Hattava and encamped in Hazeroth. They traveled from Hazeroth and encamped in Rithmah. They traveled from Rithmah and encamped in Rimmon Perez. They traveled from Rimmon Perez and encamped in Libnah. They traveled from Libnah and encamped in Risah. They traveled from Risah and encamped in Kehelathah. They traveled from Kehelathah and encamped in Mount Shepher. They traveled from Mount Shepher and encamped in Heradah. They traveled from Heradah and encamped in Makeloth. They traveled from Makeloth and encamped in Tahath. They traveled from Tahath and encamped in Terah. They traveled from Terah and encamped in Mithkah. They traveled from Mithkah and encamped in Hashmanah. They traveled from Hashmanah and encamped in Moseroth. They traveled from Moseroth and encamped in Ben Jacan. They traveled from Ben Jacan and encamped in Hor Haggidgad. They traveled from Hor Haggidgad and encamped in Jotbathah. They traveled from Jotbathah and encamped in Abranah. They traveled from Abranah and encamped in Ezion-Geber. They traveled from Ezion-Geber and encamped in Kadesh in the wilderness of Zin. They traveled from Kadesh and encamped in Mount Hor in the land of Edom. Aaron the priest went up into Mount Hor at the command of the Lord and died there. in the 40th year after the children of Israel had come out of the land of Egypt, in the 5th month, on the 5th day of the month. Aaron was 123 years old when he died in Mount Hor. The Canaanite king of Arad, who lived in the south in the land of Canaan, heard of the coming of Israel. They traveled from Mount Hor and encamped in Zalmanah. They traveled from Zalmanah and encamped in Punon. They traveled from Punon and encamped in Oboth. They traveled from Oboth and encamped in Li-Abarim, in the border of Moab. They traveled from Liam and encamped in Dibon-Gad. They traveled from Dibon-Gad and encamped in Almon-Diblathaim. They traveled from Almon-Diblathaim and encamped in the mountains of Abarim before Nebo. They traveled from the mountains of Abarim and encamped in the plains of Moab by the Jordan at Jericho. They encamped by the Jordan from Beth Jeshimoth even to Abel Shittim in the plains of Moab. The Lord spoke to Moses in the plains of Moab by the Jordan at Jericho, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel and tell them, when you pass over the Jordan into the land of Canaan, then you shall drive out all the inhabitants of the land before you. Destroy all their stone idols, destroy all their molten images, and demolish all their high places. You shall take possession of the land and dwell therein, for I have given the land to you to possess it. You shall inherit the land by lot, according to your families. In the larger groups you shall give a larger inheritance, and to the smaller you shall give a smaller inheritance. Whenever the lot falls to any man, that shall be his. You shall inherit according to the tribes of your fathers. But if you do not drive out the inheritance of the land from before you, then those you let remain of them will be little pricks in your eyes and thorns in your sides. They will harass you in the land in which you dwell. It shall happen that as I thought to do to them, so I will do to you." That is Numbers 33, and we will go to Numbers 34. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Command the children of Israel and tell them, when you come into the land of Canaan, this is the land that shall fall to you for an inheritance, even the land of Canaan according to its borders. Then your south quarter shall be from the wilderness of Zin along by the side of Edom, and your south border shall be from the end of the Salt Sea eastward. Your border shall turn from southward of the ascent of Akrabim and pass along to Zin, and it shall pass southward of Kadesh Barnea, and it shall go from there to Hazar Adar and pass along to Asmon. The border shall turn about from Asmon to the brook of Egypt, and it shall end at the sea. For the western border you shall have the great sea and its borders. This shall be your west border. This shall be your north border. From the great sea you shall mark out for yourselves Mount Hor. From Mount Hor you shall mark out to the entrance of Hamath, and the border shall pass from Zedad. Then the border shall go to Ziphron, and it shall end at Hazar Enon. This shall be your north border. You shall mark out your east border from Hazar Enan to Shephem. The border shall go down from Shephem to Riblah on the east side of Ain. The border shall go down and shall reach to the side of the sea of Chinnereth eastward. The border shall go down to the Jordan and end at the Salt Sea. This shall be your land according to its borders around it. Moses commanded the children of Israel, saying, "This is the land which you shall inherit by lot, which the Lord has commanded to give to the 9 tribes and to the half-tribe. For the tribe of the children of Reuben, according to their father's house, the tribe of the children of Gad, according to their father's houses, and the half-tribe of Manasseh shall have received their inheritance. The 2 tribes and the half-tribe have received their inheritance beyond the Jordan at Jericho, eastward towards the sunrise." The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, These are the names of the men who shall divide the land to you for inheritance: Eleazar the priest, and Joshua the son of Nun. You shall take one prince of every tribe to divide the land for inheritance. These are the names of the men: of the tribe of Judah, Caleb the son of Jephunneh; of the tribes of the children of Simeon, Shemuel the son of Ammihud; of the tribe of Benjamin, Eladad the son of Chislon; of the tribe of the children of Dan, a prince, Buki the son of Jogli; of the children of Joseph, of the tribe of the children of Manasseh, a prince, Haniel the son of Ephod; of the tribe of the children of Ephraim, a prince, Kemuel the son of Shiftan; of the tribe of the children of Zebulun, a prince, Elizpan the son of Parnach; of the tribe of the children of Issachar, a prince, Paltiel the son of Azan; of the tribe of the children of Asher, a prince, Ahihud the son of Shilomi; of the tribe of the children of Naphtali, a prince, Pedahel the son of Ammihud. These are they whom the Lord commanded to divide the inheritance to the children of Israel in the land of Canaan. That was Numbers 34. We shall end right there. That was the book of Numbers, chapters 33 and 34, on video number 56. I would like to thank you for joining me in this project, this endeavor to read the entire Bible. I hope you enjoy listening as much as I enjoy reading it. Please feel free to comment if you so desire, and also please subscribe and give a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I hope you come back for the next video, and until then, thank you. I hope you have a blessed day. I'm NatsMan, and I am out.